number of Abzan decks with Heroes Downfalls floating around in them and not a lot of Utter Ends, I think it is a more powerful card right now.
I'm not entirely sure how Vidi is supposed to get out of this situation. Now, to be fair, Tienrey is at 3, and he's playing against a Siege Rhino deck. So I suppose that's Vidi's out, is drawing or playing a Siege Rhino.
You can see Patrick right now sitting on several Disdainful Strokes and discarding a Treasure Cruise with what appears to be a pretty flush graveyard. Not a great sign.
Vidi does have Siege Rhino in hand and 4 lands, and he's refusing to cast it. He must know that Tienrey does have a Disdainful Stroke in hand at this point as we join this game in progress.
I almost wonder if Patrick's at risk of getting decked right now, because not casting the Treasure Cruise here, I don't know of any other reason to keep a Shivan Reef at this stage of the game.
Sure.
And I can imagine this man has drawn quite a few extra cards over the course of this game.
Oh, you think so? Well, the first place to start is just an attack. So Tienrey's gonna make that, excuse me. The follow-up with a Shivan Reef. We'll see how much mana he's willing to tap here. Now, what Vidi's doing here with his opponent at 3 is he's hoping he makes a mistake. It's pretty simple, I think, at this point.
Or Vidi finds some sort of Thoughtseize effect and hopes he can push through a Disdainful Stroke.
There's just Jeskai Ascendancy. And the passing of the turn. Copy of Bile-Blight, which is fine. Now, as long as Tienrey does remember his Outpost Siege triggers, Vidi will have to take 3 since 3 creatures die. But that's on the player controlling the siege. As Wijaya is down to 11. There's a copy of Raise the Alarm. Mystic Monastery, the draw. He will cast the Raise the Alarm. 2 soldier tokens coming in. But Vidi is really hoping that his opponent makes a mistake here. Let's see what Vidi draws this turn. A Swamp. Play that, pass the turn back. Battlefield Forge there off the Outpost Siege. Mystic Monastery, the draw. There's an attack. This looks like it's going to be a spell of some sort. Stoke the Flames. So this is convoking of that. There'll be 2 Jeskai Ascendancy triggers. Tienrey looks like he has no interest in actually drawing the cards. So yeah, his deck must be really, really small.
That's the best guess here. Yeah. Because he's missed so many triggers at this point that I have to mention it's on purpose.
Temple of Silence to draw. There's a Siege Rhino. This is a Disdainful Stroke. Let's play a 3rd game, and we will. Patrick Tienrey does win in game number 2 against Vidianto Wijaya. Jeskai tokens, Abzan mid-range, getting ready for another one. So we'll take a look at the sideboards here, and we will see that Vidianto Wijaya does have an End Hostilities, 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Read the Bones, Liliana Vest, a Garruk Apex Predator, and Utter End, 2 Rakshasa Death Dealers, 2 Drowning Sorrows, and a Tasker the Golden Fang. We already saw Drowning Sorrow. He cast one of those last game, and I think you have to imagine Utter Ends in the deck.
I think so. I think the Glare of Heresies are fun to bring into this matchup, as is the End Hostilities.
Other side of things?
2 copies of Erase, 2 copies of Valorous Stance, 2 copies of End Hostilities, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Negates, 3 Disdainful Strokes, a Glare of Heresy, and an Elspeth. We saw the Elspeth in his hand at the end of the game there. Glare of Heresy, I imagine, is in 3 copies of Disdainful Stroke, 2 Valorous Hands, and maybe a Negate, maybe not.
Well, game number 3 going to be underway here. Players going to have about 12 minutes to play. It can be a fast matchup. Sometimes it's slow, but we'll quickly talk about next level Magic from Patrick Chapin, the innovator. It's available again.
Absolutely. Magic Hall of Famer and Pro Tour champion Patrick Chapin. Excuse me, not me.
That's not your book.
I've never won a match. Patrick Chapin, rather. Back with the 2015 edition of Next Level Magic, available in both paperback, which has been sold out of for a year now, and ebook. StarCityGames.com/NLM to order your copy today.
I bet you could put together one heck of a book. I would expect, here's what I'm envisioning. That background was blue for Chapin, a lot of red for yours. Some flames there. Page 1, just a big picture of a lightning bolt.
It would mostly be some sort of stream of conscious telling of stories and random ideas about cards and decks. I think it would be way worse than Chapin's book.
For a little unstructured approach, maybe more of like a blog. Oh, put that baby to print. I think it could be a good read.
I think that would be the jacket quote. This book is way worse than Next Level Magic, signed by the author.
What would people have like on the back of their book quotes from other people?
Yeah.
I'd throw a couple in there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep. Just from Cedric Phillips. Who even cares?
Who even cares?
Fetch.
Why not buy this? You're just going to waste your money on something else otherwise. You know?
Get some of your good friends. Billy Moreno, I'm sure he'll have a nice quote.
For sure.
I think all I'm saying is if you want to make a couple extra bucks, I know some people in Star City, we get a book together. They're selling, there's 4 editions of Cardboard.
No, I know. Trust
Where's
me.
the first edition of Patrick Sullivan's book?
I got my finger on the pulse of this. I know it's a good business to get into.
A lot of people think the book needs to be long. Not true. I have a short attention span. 20, 25 pages, boom, you've got my $13.
All right, perfect. 13's a little, I think we're going to go up to
All right,
15.
you price it how you want. You price it how you want to. I'll buy it.
Okay, cool.
Actually, no, I'm not buying it. I want an advanced copy.
I'm going to need a good jacket quote.
I can get that for you.
Something good for the dust cover.
Sansep Citadel is how Wijaya will start things off here. There's a footage strand there for Patrick. Game number 3 underway.
Too many Patricks, just really confusing. Gotta say.
It can be tough at times.
Yeah.
Jeskai Ascendancy, a Treasure Cruise, a Monastery Mentor. Let's make it 2 of those, along with a Raise the Alarm, another Flooded Strand, and a Plane. So no red mana here for Tienrey, but he doesn't need any right now. He's got the Jeskai Ascendancy, but that's not a card you have to play on turn 3. It's nice if you do, but he's also got some other options.
I think it's also likely to get stripped out of this hand. I think it's just Ascendancy versus Treasure Cruise. Be surprised if the creatures here mattered that much to Vidi. It's also hard to really carve a hole in this hand by taking any of the creatures.
Well, Vidi's going to write down the contents here and figure out what he wants to take. This is another build of Jeskai tokens without Rabblemaster. A lot of people try Monastery Mentor in this deck. It's so hard to say which card's better.
I've been pretty unimpressed by Rabblemaster in this deck.
Yeah?
I don't know Monastery Mentor is necessarily the card because if I have a criticism of this deck, it plays with too many 3-mana cards. But especially with the uptake of Wild Slashes. Not that that makes Monastery Mentor that much better of a choice, but I'm not a big Rabblemaster fan in this deck.
Raise the Alarm is the card that hit the bin.
Yep. Well, it can't be a Monastery Mentor, most likely, because there's 2 copies in the hand, so.
Tierney going to search up an island here with the Flooded Strand.
If Vidi's hand is slow and powerful, has a lot of removal, then I can see taking the Raise the Alarm.
Draw step. Pretty good one there in Mystic Monastery. Bileblight the draw here for Wijaya. No land.
That would also explain it.
Yes, it would. There's a Plains. This is Jeskai Ascendancy. Now, Wijaya does have a copy of Glare of Heresy in hand. Drew a copy of Elspeth. And he will glare that off the table right away.
Also has a castable Bileblight in hand, so even though he's missing land drop, it's not all doom and gloom just yet. Of course, the big issue here is that Patrick is quickly building towards Treasure Cruise.
That's the big problem. Wijaya only 25 lands in his particular build of Abzan midrange, though he does have 3 copies of Seder Wayfinder.
Typically, you see 26, but Seder Wayfinder does count as something in between a land and a spell.
Yeah, it's weird how you actually count that. There's a Mentor. Wijaya will draw. This is a Temple of Silence. He'll play that first. Take a look at the top card. It'll go to the bottom. Bioblight's going to get that Mentor off the table right away. But as you mentioned, the scary thing here is that while there's this exchange in resources, Tierney has Treasure Cruise in hand.
It makes me wonder if Vidi really couldn't have afforded to leave the Treasure Cruise in hand and maybe had to psych up the Raise the Alarm, because the way the game was shaping up, there was just no way to prevent this Treasure Cruise from resolving.
The 3 cards drawn there are interesting in Valor Stance and Hostilities and Negate. I mean, those are Magic cards that have text, and that's all great. How much is Vidi scared of those, I think, is a different question.
Yeah.
Courser, Seder Wayfinder on top. Not a land, but kind of is a land.
Well, purpose, not for the purposes of Corsair Crew Fix.
Sure.
And that's part of the reason that a lot of people have moved away from Caryatid. Increasing the land count with Corsair Crew Fix in your deck is really nice.
Three mana. There's a Mentor. Tienrey will pass the turn back. Wayfinder the draw, top card of the deck, and another Corsair. Wijaya with a decision to make here. He'll go with Satyr Wayfinder to start. So we'll take a look at the top couple of cards. Corsair. Lanimore Waste, Windswept Heath, and a Temple of Malady. So land's not going to be a problem.
Yep. When it rains, it pours.
Indeed. Going to go with the Lanimore Waste. I think the reason he's taking that, I believe he has a Bile Blight in his hand that he wants to use to get that Monastery Mentor off the table. We'll see the top card of the deck here is a Thoughtseize. So there's the Waste. Wijaya will have to take one, get that Mentor off the table. And here comes the Corsair. So maybe getting his way back into the game.
Starting to pull his head above water a little bit. I mean, certainly ahead on the board at this point. And Patrick's hand is a little bit clunky.
Clunky, I think, is putting it nicely.
I like getting an Ascendancy in play this turn, especially with end hostilities. Let BD build up the board a bit. I guess because of the Thoughtseize on top of the deck, there's no guarantee that that ends up happening, but...
There is Ascendancy. Wijaya will draw that Thoughtseize. Top card of the deck, Windswept Heath. Oh, Corsair.
Now, an untapped land this turn is a big deal, as it allows him to both Thoughtseize and cast Siege Rhino.
This deck is just pretty incredible at kind of working its way out of its mana issues. This is not the first time we've seen Abzan midrange kind of stumble, and then all of a sudden it's got 5 lands in play and it can operate again.
Yep. And a lot of this, what's happening right now on Patrick's side of the table, is a consequence of the volume of 3-mana spells in this deck. He has not had an efficient turn yet.
Glare of Heresy on top. You mentioned the Siege Rhino. Hero's Downfall, Elspeth, Thoughtseize, Ugin. All those cards in hand. Looks like players are getting the life totals in order here.
Yeah, VD's taking some random points of damage here from Thoughtseizes, some pain lands and such.
You're getting a little bit of life too because of Corsair.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that's correct before moving forward. Ooh, someone on Twitter, very smart. A groundhog would be a spring animal.
Perfect.
Right? Right? For our spring collection
Perfect.
2015. That's really good.
That is so smart.
Baby bear
Yep.
out of hibernation.
Mm-hmm. I think, do baby bears hibernate? I guess they have to. Otherwise, they would just die in the wild. Never mind.
I was just going to let you draw that conclusion on your own.
Figured you just had to work it out in my own head.
I figured you'd get from point A to point B pretty quickly. Normally, I'm the doofus.
Sometimes you just got to work it out in your own head. You know?
Out loud, too.
Yeah, out loud.
There goes that hostilities.
Yeah, now VD's going to probably do some tempo play here. Get some attacks in, get a Siege Rhino in play. Hope he can overwhelm Patrick before the Ascendancy does too much damage.
Now, Siege Rhino having trample here certainly matters quite a bit.
Yep.
Now, of course, you can see in Patrick's hand, he does have a copy of Glare of Heresy, which is an answer to the Siege Rhino, but he's a little choked up on mana right now.
Well, he has Glare of Heresy plus Valorous Stance, so he can clean up some of the board, and that allows him to also draw and discard some cards and improve his hand. So it's not a bad spot for Patrick to be in, but VD had to take the end hostilities out of that hand.
We'll see the top card of the deck from Corsair here on VD's side, too, since that's still in play. And it's a Plains. So there's the Glare. Trigger the Ascendancy. Battlefield Forge, probably a pretty good one. Looks like Jeskai Ascendancy is going to go away.
It's land number 5, which Patrick could use. It's also double red for the Hordeling Outburst in his hand he's been sitting on for quite a while. So Battlefield Forge will play.
There's the Hordeling Outburst. Draw and discard time. Curious if he has time for a card like Negate. He's just going to discard Monastery Mentor.
Monastery Mentor has kind of stunk up the joint in these games so far.
I've not been impressed.
It has showed up and quickly exited the party each time.
There's a land. Trigger the Courser. Windswept Heath into play. Satyr Wayfinder, the top card of the deck. And V will very quickly sacrifice, lose one, gain one, of course, with the Courser interaction with fetch lands. And perhaps we have the Sun's Champion on the way. However, TikTok does go the clock. Gonna need to finish this one up pretty quickly. Here's the attack.
Pretty entertaining. This is another way that Magic changed a lot the last couple of years.
Okay.
To see two decks in a post-board game, both with end hostilities in their deck.
It's very strange.
It's so strange to me. I get it. It's just a different game.
But this is nothing that would happen when we were playing competitively.
No. If both players had end hostilities in their deck, one or both players would have been made fun of by their friends.
It's true. It's true. But now you can justify it. Well, Tienrey's got some catch-up to do, that's for sure.
Well, he's got some tools to do it now since he's been online for a while and his hand's gotten much, much better.
He'll start with a Raise the Alarm, it looks like. So there's an Ascendancy trigger. There goes Negate. There's Shivan Reef. I could just pass the turn back to Stoke the Flames here.
I feel like making an attack at Elspeth is almost free because you're going to play a spell on VD's turn.
Sure. Those goblins are 2/2s as well.
Right. It's free to make some sort of attack here.
Just has to figure out how he wants to do it. It is turn 0 right now of extra turns.
If Patrick's plan is to play Outpost Siege here, all right, it looks like he's going to be doing it this way. I was about to say he needs to play before combat, so he still has the ability to stoke next this turn or next.
Yep. Creatures are 3/3s. Now we're going to go, we'll see where those goblins are going. I think they're all going towards Elspeth, and VD says, all right, that's fine, those are gone. And now here's Outpost each post. Trigger Ascendancy, untap the creatures. Discard a card. It's on dragons. Turn number 1 goes to Wijaya.
Yeah, he says it here to dragons because of end hostilities on the top. Also with Ascendancy in play, Patrick sort of got a card advantage engine already up and running.
Land will come into play. VD may or may not have remembered the trigger of the Courser there. Doesn't look like he did. Okay, yes he did. There it is. He's got Ugin. He's got Hero's Downfall. Now he's got to figure out a good attack. Assuming that it even exists. Because I could see an all-out attack here being pretty good.
Pretty risky against Stoke the Flames.
I think you just got to hope he doesn't have
Yeah,
one of those.
it's really hard. Once the Ascendancy deck gets into spots like this, playing around the Stoke the Flames is pretty much impossible. I think you just have to hope it's not there.
All the damage is going to go to the creatures. Nothing left over there. Pass the turn back. We might be in draw territory here. I think VD's going to come up a turn short. He's going to draw a copy of Elspeth. That'll be taken care of by the timely Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah.
Ascendancy here will discard a Battlefield Forge. It'll be turn 4 now. Stoke the Flames. Let's see if this is land number 8 for the Ugin. Another Elspeth.
Really big draw here.
Yep. There's Hordeling Outburst. Draw a card, turn 5. Siege Rhino.
And with Stoke plus Valorous Stance in hand, Patrick's had a lot of protection too.
Yep. He's going to take a long look at his hand, but there's just no way to get it done.
Yeah, maybe another turn or two. He might have a shot at it,
I
but
think so. I mean, his life total's so high. He's ahead enough on the board that I think he'd be able to get the W here because he has Ugin. He has like inevitability with the Ugin and the Siege Rhino in hand.
I mean, it's no luck. The Ascendancy deck can go from 0 to 60 instantly. If there's a Treasure Cruise on the top of Patrick's deck, it's very different. But as it stands, I don't think BD can punch through these points.
No, it looks like it's just going to be a draw here. Yeah. See both players kind of shrugging shoulders and saying, well, just not enough time to get the job done. So these players will draw here, it seems, as we will come back to the booth. Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan, round number